Here we are. Hey everyone, coming to you from Tulum, Mexico.
Such a blessing to be here. Such a blessing to be able to do this work wherever we are.
Yeah.
Such
excited.
a blessing to be in the sun and to be together.
Yeah. So today, we're getting into limiting mindsets. And how we have often these little pockets in our mind where we don't allow ourselves to fully thrive, or we don't allow ourselves to be adventurous, or we don't allow ourselves to be successful, even financially, or even in relationship, or all over the place. This aspect of consciousness, of human mind and brain activity, or whatever it is, or conditioning, whatever it is, can be found all over our life.
Yeah.
So I was so excited when Lexi brought up to discuss this, because this is something that I really am still even working through, and I think there's probably a lot of people out there who work through the same thing and may not even know that there's an option to get out of that.
Yeah. When we look at our self-dialogue and the way that we speak to ourselves, to the people around us, and to opportunities that arise, notice how you, the excuses that you go to excuse you from doing what you really want to do, to excuse you from doing what you're really passionate about.
Yeah.
We usually will make excuses of not having enough time, or having a job that we can't do, or just being too busy to fulfill our life's purpose and our life's dreams, you know? When I shifted that mindset, that limited mindset of I can't do that because of this, and shifted it into I can do whatever I set my heart and mind to, I can do whatever I want, my life transformed. And it took some time for it to transform, but I mean, I would never have gone to the places that I've gone to, and I would not be here right now with you if I made excuses.
Yep.
Because it can seem scary stepping out of your comfort zone and moving towards these wild, amazing dreams. It can seem scary, but it's so important to step out of your comfort zone and trust.
Beautiful. I can totally relate. And there's a breakthrough point that you have to move yourself through, and to know that. So fear, right, comes from a part of our mind that we don't really want governing our decisions necessarily. Moment to moment situations when fear arises and it's necessary to act on fear in the moment. I use the example, if there's a ferocious dog in front of you and it's barking and foaming and you need to get out of there. You know what I mean? That's a moment where fear is necessary, and it's necessary to act based on fear. But,
right, like instinctual.
Yes, exactly, instinctual fear. But what happens when we don't really, when we don't have anyone kind of governing our minds and our thoughts. In other words, when there's no intelligent force governing the thoughts, and we just feel something and then react on the feeling immediately, that's when our life gets weird, and that's when it gets toxic, and that's when it gets, we start to collect these habits that aren't good for us. And this is one of them. This is a fear that's not necessary for us, necessarily. So it's really important to look at this and be smart about all of this stuff. You know, I don't want to encourage anybody to be super reckless. You can be a little bit reckless, and it's good.
Yeah. There's a balance to this, and it doesn't mean go for every opportunity that arises and go be reckless. It doesn't really mean be reckless at all. What it means is that if your heart has been yearning to do something, or you see someone living your dream and you're limiting yourself because you think that your lifestyle, you can't do that, or you don't have the time, whatever it is, I think that is a good indicator that like you are limiting yourself. Because if you see something and you've wanted it for years, why have you not gone after it yet? Only you are contributing to you not doing what you want.
Right. That's huge, because one of the things that we do is we project limitations onto all these other things that make it seem like we're powerless. Right? We project it on our jobs and say, well, if I didn't have my job and I wasn't so committed to that, then I'd be able to do all these things that I'd really love to do. But why don't you commit to yourself like that?
Yes.
Why don't you commit to why don't you make your happiness the most important thing in your life? If your job's not making you happy and it's keeping you from doing things that make you happy, then do something else.
And then you'd say, but there's nothing that I can do. Like, I wouldn't make enough money, it wouldn't be stable. Like, those are the limiting beliefs.
I'll never find another job
thoughts,
like this that makes me the money that I do.
That come in when we ask ourselves these questions. And it's like a flood of them that rush in that moment. And that's where you have to bring awareness to right then and there, and be like, actually, I can get the job of my dreams, and that job will also allow me to travel if that's what I want to do. Or whatever it is that you want to do. That is possible for you.
Totally. No limits beyond, there are limitations to our lives that are real, but in this sense, there's none. There's none. You can create any kind of lifestyle that you really want to, and you'll know, and you have to follow your guidance. You have to follow your inner guidance and really listen to the heart. When you really feel inspired, for doing something, if you're aspiring, if you're like, oh, I always wanted to be an artist, and paint, but you have some kind of job that doesn't really fulfill that, and you feel drained at the end of the day, so you feel like you don't have the energy to do your art, or whatever it is, then just start doing it. Just start doing it. Push through those little moments where you're like, oh, I don't feel good, or I don't really want to. Just set yourself up and do it. Set yourself up so it's easy to do it. This is something that I did when I really started to shift my life. That was one of the things that I realized about myself, is I love art of all different kinds. So I got some paint supplies, I got an easel, and I got a canvas, and I just set it up in my living room, so it was like in my space. It was right in front of me, and I can easily just, anytime I had 2 minutes, I could sit down and just paint a little spot, and it felt so good. It like nourished my being. And in doing, and sometimes I would sit down and be like, all right, I don't really have time, and I would sit down and I would spend 2 hours painting, and it felt so good, and I didn't miss out on a single thing in my life.
Right, and it nourished you rather than depleted you.
Exactly.
Like, let's say we come home from work. This is something that Alicia, our good friend, brought up in a workshop that we just took. How she would utilize those 2 hours at the end of her day. So she'd get back from work, she'd be pretty tired, and she would usually just like binge watch TV, eat, whatever. She utilized that time rather than watching TV, just to spend 2 hours on manifesting her dream job. And now she is like...
She won an award for being a young, successful woman on Long Island. She's amazing. Alicia, we love you.
We love you. But that's just an example of, like, are you utilizing your time? If you really want something, are you working hard to make it attainable? Are you going after it? Right.
That's what's important here too, is that it's not like you just open your heart and figure out what you want and then it just all falls into place. Opportunities fall into place, but your work is where you have to meet those opportunities. You have to, my grandmother used to say, you have to meet God halfway. You gotta take steps towards, she was talking about God, but towards anything, towards your dreams, whatever it is. You have to, if you take 10 steps towards your dreams take 20 steps towards you, and that's a microcosm of this grand existence that we're a part of.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. That's so beautiful. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful work because you're doing the work that you want to be doing, that fuels your soul and that gets you inspired, that ignites the fire within you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of work that you should be doing, the kind of work that you're freaking excited about, that you're on fire about.
Yeah.
And it really begins with becoming aware of those limiting thought patterns, because even those will limit you from working towards manifesting what you truly want, because you won't be open to it if you don't believe that it's possible to receive that,
right,
no matter how much work you do.
That's huge.
Yeah. And similarly, you can even look at this in relationships.
Sure.
If you stay in a relationship because you're scared that maybe there's not a better relationship outside of your relationship, that there's no one else out there, then you are never going to be open to receiving your soulmate.
Right. Don't do that to yourself. Don't limit to yourself. Don't compromise with half-assed situations that don't fulfill your spirit. You deserve to be fully fulfilled and fully empowered, and to embody that fulfillment and that power, and to share that out with other people too. That's what this whole thing is about, is you really fully step into your power, and then you inspire others to do the same thing. That's like the cycle of give and receive from the universe.
Yes.
And I wanted to point out too that, part of not limiting yourself is not to say that you're not going to fail. You might fail.
Yes.
All the stuff that you fear might come true. Those fears might be legit. And even though they're keeping you from doing what you want, you may lose a bunch of money. You may have to go through some hardship. But that's part of the process of building into your life, because it's if you think about it energetically, you meet life, you receive from life how you meet it. So if you meet it timid and shy and like a little fearful, and you don't really take risks, and you don't really do anything, like you don't, because your dreams are like have some fears behind them, and so you don't approach them, you're gonna have a mediocre, boring, unfulfilling life, right? But if you take risks and you fall and you fail and then you keep going, that's when your bravery is met by grace. And not only that, but through those moments where you struggle, you learn so much about yourself and you grow so much. That's where strength is built. If you never do push-ups, you're never going to get stronger in your arms and your chest, you know what I mean? So this is like the same kind of thing. If you never take risks and you never put yourself out there, you don't even have to take crazy risks, but if you never put yourself out there and endeavor towards your dreams with confidence, then you're never going to build the strength to thrive. You're never going to build the strength to succeed. You're never going to gain the knowledge you need to succeed in what you're doing. This is like a huge part of it. So don't be afraid to fail. I've failed so many times. I've lost thousands of dollars trying to do things to change my life, And you just keep going. You just keep going. Know what you want. Figure out how you want to live your life on a daily basis, how you want to spend your time, who you want to spend your time with, and fucking go for it.
Yes,
don't
believe
stop.
in yourself so much that you're willing to fail, and that the failures are they're not the end. You believe in yourself so much that you continue onward. And like you said, you learn from everything. I love that.
Yeah.
You learn from all the failures and you continue on. That's so important. So beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So important.
So what are maybe some ways we can look at when we do have limiting thoughts? Because I know how crippling they can feel. It's really nice to talk about this like motivational, strong speech, kind of. But for the ones who receive this and feel this inside, it's tough. I get it, because I've been there and I still deal with it, Even coming here to Mexico, I had to work through that. But again, I had to give the power to what was going to drive me to do the right thing. So that's what was important for me. Don't give the power to the fear. You give it to the fearless.
Beautiful. And when you're questioning what you should do, because let's say Mexico wasn't right for you, I'm sure you would have received that guidance and
right.
You would have listened to it.
Definitely.
So I think it's a beautiful opportunity for you to offer a question up in prayer and really ask for guidance. If you don't know what you should do, if you don't know if this is the right decision to make, offer it up to prayer and get silent with yourself so you can really listen to the guidance that is within you and outside of you to give you the answer that you need.
Beautiful.
And then also being really gentle with yourself in the process of this. That's been a theme for this year.
Yeah, for me, for sure.
Yeah. Is being gentle with yourself in this process. And when you catch a thought that is limiting, not judging yourself and not being harsh on yourself, but really being compassionate toward yourself, touching your heart and being your own mother. We talked about this in our last episode as well, being your own best friend and really just communicating with yourself.
Yeah.
A good one that you brought up the other day too is that when you have a limiting thought or just a thought that's like not true, that's even limiting towards your body and how beautiful it is or something, say that out loud. So you can hear yourself, and then you can kind of hear a little bit more. I find it easier to have these ongoing thoughts within myself and not be able to recognize them as false. But then when I say them out loud and I hear myself say them, I'm like, wow, that's just ridiculous. I can't believe I'm talking to myself that way. Would I talk to my siblings this way?
Right.
Why would I talk to myself this way?
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't talk to your kids or your siblings or someone that you love so dearly the way that you're speaking to yourself, this is a beautiful opportunity to go inward and shift the way that you're speaking to yourself and say it out loud.
Yeah, it's so helpful. This was something I actively did with you, Lexi. Was when I would have moments like that, I would ask myself, I would say it out loud and say, would you speak to Lexi like that? And the answer was fucking no way, you know what I mean? So like, why would I why would I speak to myself that way, you know? And that's a great practice. And what I love about that too is like you really hear the reality of it when it's out loud, because inside your mind, you know, your mind is justifying it all over the place, and it has this presence of acceptance inside your mind that it's okay to speak that way or to have that kind of dialogue inside. But when you express it outside, you hear it with your ears, you know what I mean? Like Dave's angry at himself because he broke a pencil. You know, like it makes you realize how silly it is and unjustified it is, and your mind still finds ways to justify those things. So like Dave's afraid to go to Mexico because, you know, he's afraid of getting his wallet stolen, you know, or whatever, something like that, you know, whatever silly things that we have in place of that keep us from doing things that are good for us.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to, did you have something on that?
Just real quick, when we speak it out loud, we're able to release it as well. So it's so much easier to release those thoughts once they are out loud. That's all.
Good. No, that was a necessary finish, I think, to that little moment. Something else I wanted to touch on too is knowing what the right thing is to do for you, because there's different parts of our mind that like get excited and get motivated, and they're not all really necessarily good. Like some of our desires are not healthy desires, you know, and some of them can be in the realm of dangerously reckless.
Yeah.
You know, and this is something that's really important. So
I can definitely touch on this,
Yeah, okay. I have one little thing that I want to share before. So something that's actually kind of fun to do is you can play with the world, and this is a great way to explore that the world, the whole world of life itself really does have direct communication with us, and life really does give us signs. So if you pray out loud and say, you know, I really want to go to Mexico with the woman that I love, if it's the right thing to do, tell me, show me, give me a sign that it's the right thing for me to do. Really help me make it happen. So one of the things that I was doing is when I was getting ready, I had to buy a plane ticket. I needed my passport, and I haven't even looked at my passport in over a year, and I couldn't find it. So I kept saying to myself, I said, well, if I'm not meant to go to Mexico, then I won't find my passport right now. You know, because Lexi was like waiting for me in the car, and we had to go somewhere, and it was like, you know, I wasn't rushed, but like, it was like, you know, we had to be timely in what we were doing. So I said, all right, well, I guess I'm not supposed to find my passport. I guess I'm not supposed to go to Mexico. And like totally, fully accepted that.
Yeah.
Even though, and I said, wow, I really wanted to go. I put that out there, you know. I was honest with how I felt about it. I was like, I really wanted to go there, but if I'm not, if it's okay, if I'm not meant to go, then I won't find my passport. And then I was about to leave, and I just like reached my hand under a bunch of towels and a bunch of pieces of paper, and I found it, and it was right there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's something that's really fun on multi levels. It's fun to like get your answer. It's fun to find clarity, but it's also fun to know that the whole world hears you. Life can hear your voice. Life can feel your presence and will guide you. There's such a beautiful guidance to this whole life, and we can have direct communication with life itself and have this reciprocal relationship with life, and it's fun and it's beautiful.
This is so beautiful because this really ties into trusting.
Yeah.
And so when something doesn't work out the way that you thought was supposed to, you can really open up to trusting that this is what was supposed to be, and this is the unfolding of a grand masterpiece that you may not even understand yet. You know. And so that's so beautiful because that's really just opening up guidance and trust completely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you didn't find it, that would have been your answer right there, and that would have been okay.
I would have been totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, and we would have had whatever journeys we were meant to have, and that's the beauty of this whole life.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, is that it's not all about just like traveling and taking risks and going places, but you can really find this joy and freedom within you, and this like feeling of travel everywhere you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this excitement of life is within you, and you can take it with you everywhere you go. Every day can be an opportunity to meet someone, to make a special connection, to learn a lesson. Every human is a walking lesson for you to receive from, and it's within each moment. So even when you're at work, because we understand that like people have work, we work too, and that's not something that you can just like get rid of and then go run around and do whatever you want. Work is an essential part of life. But even within work, we can find joy. And if you're completely miserable and you feel like it's depleting your life force, then it's time to look for other opportunities for yourself, because there's infinite opportunities for you out there.
Definitely, yeah. And that kind of circles back to just taking small steps towards the life you want, like living it on a small scale until life, like you'll start to feel life reconfiguring for you. It'll start to realign things for you once you start removing those limited thought patterns, stepping into positive thought patterns, and being joyful about the life that's coming for you, and then in little moments living that. So really actually living it, because like, again, I have a job that I have to go to, but in moments that, I'm not doing that, or I do have time where I can do it, I jump on those opportunities and I live the dream, even if it's on a small scale and it's not the complete dream yet. Actively going out, and this is me taking steps towards the life that I want to live every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's okay to do them on little microcosms. Do like set up your little art thing in the middle of your room. Make print out pictures and frame beautiful pictures of locations you want to go to.
Yes.
Get a big map and start putting pins on it.
Yeah, create altars at every tabletop.
Yeah.
That just remind you of your true essence. That is beauty, that is grace, that is absolutely divine.
Yeah.
Little reminders all over the place of what inspires you and what fuels you.
Keep it present.
You know?
Yeah.
And there was something else I wanted to touch on.
Okay. Something I think that's important too is it's not really necessarily about getting what you want either. What you want might guide you to what you need. You might have desires that like, ooh, that's the thing that I want to do, and then you go for it and it falls apart. This has happened to me so many times. But then out of that comes so much more than you could ever expect. So that's another part of not being attached to the outcomes of anything.
Yeah, that's
not being
beautiful.
attached to the results. Yeah, because like I ended up just as a little small example of something is, I ended up getting into this like network marketing thing, and I was like, there's that whole story behind whatever that is, but that was one of the things that really they ran me through this whole empowerment part of the as you come as a part of the company. And one of those parts of the empowerment was honest communication with people and removing limiting thought patterns. And one of those things that came through with that ended up falling apart and isn't a part of my life anymore. But I met Lexi because of that.
Wow.
I met you because of that program. That program was what inspired me to reach out to you and communicate with you. And that is such a miracle, because at that time I was like, ooh, this is the thing that's really going to offer me the life that I really want and that I'm looking for. It was like, I was like, wow, because I started to understand the reality of the business, and it was like a good business model, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I was excited about it. And then it just ended, whatever, it just fizzled out. And now here I am in Mexico with an amazing partner, you know what I mean? And it's such a miracle. So again, it's not about getting what you want, because sometimes what you think you want isn't really what's right for you, or what's meant for you.
Right.
You know? So non-attachment with that is really, really important too, and allow things to shift and allow things to change. You know, if your plan falls apart, know that there's something on its way for you. And there always is.
Yeah, there always is. That's so beautiful. Often I find that's how it works. Is that what we want, what we're yearning for is usually not even close to the beauty that the universe has in store to offer you.
Yeah, that's a great message.
Yeah. And I love how you said earlier about releasing. Like, I think that's like the first step, is releasing and really like getting clear of the clutter of our minds. That'll help us open up to these beautiful opportunities. Even if it's not like what you want, just to be able to be open to receive them. Yeah. Is so important. So maybe we can touch on some ways of kind of clearing ourselves out, cleansing ourselves of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think a great cleanser is excitement about what you love.
Yeah, that's a good indicator of what you're supposed to be doing too. What makes you really excited? What makes you happy to do? We say this all the time, but like, what brings you joy? What do you really enjoy doing? That's probably what you're supposed to be doing in this life.
Yeah. I came up with something a while ago that was really helpful for me, and that led me to sitting here and doing these talks to begin with, was what's like a thing that like I just naturally do that feels effortless, that I can do every day, that I'll never get tired of. What's that thing? And what's nice about that is you ask that, project that out to the universe, and then look for signs, and then explore life. Go take a paint class, or go take a, I mean, I got inspired once to do voiceovers, or whatever, but explore a bunch of different things, Go to a gym and take martial arts classes. Maybe you hate it, and now you know that. Take a dance class. You never know what you're going to find yourself being passionate about until you explore it. So that's part of it too, is being excited to explore, being excited to discover parts of yourself you might not have thought you'd be excited about. And then try it out, get into it, and see where it leads you. And everything you get involved with will lead you down another path that's really the same path that is your life, and you'll learn and you'll grow from it. So even if it doesn't stick with you for your whole life, and it's not like the thing, there's no such thing as like, here's the thing that I gotta do. There's no such thing as that. That's like what your job is, and that limited mindset is.
Right, that brings in attachment. Again, you're attaching to what you think that you're supposed to do, because right now maybe you're doing it and you're comfortable, but are you happy?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying what you're doing?
Yeah. So leaving room for things to evolve and change and grow.
Yeah, and this may change over and over and over again in your lifespan, and we're not taught that that's okay.
Yeah.
We're also not taught that you can do multiple things and enjoy multiple different sources of income. if that's what we're talking about. Like, you can expand yourself so much that you do a dance class here, and you do this over here, and you make money this way over here. You can do multiple things, and they can be constantly changing. What you love to do can always be expanding and shifting, and that's completely fine. Yeah, we're so often limited in just the way that we're brought up. From our families, from our school systems. You gotta go to school right after you're done with high school, figure out the job that you want to do as soon as you get out of college. Like, it's just so, we're so rushed to figure it out.
Oh my God.
That we barely get to experience life in between it all.
No, because we're always thinking about what we have to do next.
Yeah, we're always thinking about what we have to do rather than being present and
so
really
much pressure.
enjoying your life.
Yeah, that's I think a key part too, is enjoy it now.
Yeah.
You know, don't wait until you have your dream in place and you're settled there and you're like, oh, finally I'm here. Don't wait for that moment to find joy or peace or happiness. Find it now.
Yeah,
you know?
and find it in every moment. Find it in everything that you do.
Because that's what's going to invite joy into your life, is being joyful with what you have now.
Yeah, you truly attract what you're already radiating at.
Definitely, yeah.
So if you are seeking and seeking and seeking for happiness and joy and wanting, you're always going to remain at that space of, because you're attracting that.
Right.
You're attracting the wanting and the striving for something more.
Right.
But when you just really love where you're at and can sink into the beautiful moment and the beautiful essence of what you are right now, then there you go, you're already here.
Yeah. So I love this. Love what you're at, but work hard for what you want.
Yeah. And enjoy working hard for what you want.
Yeah, totally. That's a great
Yeah.
part of it too. I mean, I found so much joy in working through depression. You know what I mean? I find joy in working through my internal shit. You know, it's a fun practice for me now. You know, now that I have it was challenging in the beginning, but once you move past the resistance of it, then everything becomes joyful. Even self-destructive inner turmoil can have a joy to it, because there's an essence behind it of growth and expansion, and ultimately at the end of every one of those little moments, there's triumph and there's victory and there's euphoria that comes from that. So even on whatever scale you want to place that on, if it's finding your dream job, if it's finding your soulmate, if it's exploring just new ways to express yourself, in all of those, finding the joy and the steps towards them is a huge aspect of really gaining the most out of life that you can gain. You know?
So beautiful.
I'm so excited we talked about this today. This is like a really big one, and it's I know it can seem really challenging, and it can seem heavy, to work through. The mind it seems like it's a powerful place, but know that you, as your true being, is so much more powerful than the mind that limits you. You have such a greater power than that. You just have to stop giving it your attention and disregard it and move forward towards something that's empowering.
Yes, you are so capable.
You can do it.
So worthy of so much beauty in your life.
Yeah. What do you think? Is that good for it today?
Yeah.
Feels good? Yeah?
Yeah, let's just bring it full round circle.
Yeah.
Limiting beliefs, stepping into infinite possibilities and an infinite mindset for yourself.
Yeah, and enjoying the ride, enjoying the steps between, and not attaching to the results, allowing things to change and shift as they're meant to, and focus on the excitement, focus on what makes you feel good, and that will dissolve the fear.
Yes, trust.
Trust
the process, trust the unraveling. You are safe. So much love.
So much love.
Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Muchas bendiciones.
Muchas bendiciones.